Welcome everyone to the deep dive.
Great to be here.
Today we're diving into, well, something called continuous manufacturing.
Right.
Now, if you're not familiar, basically think of it like materials just constantly moving through production, not in
Yep,
separate batches.
exactly. It's a flow. Big in pharma, chemicals,
Yeah.
boosts efficiency, quality.
And the market numbers. They tell a really compelling story about global shifts. It's pretty fascinating stuff. We've been looking at some really detailed projections. The source is Global Continuous Manufacturing Market, Growth Projections to 2033 from Cognitive Market Research.
A solid report.
And our mission today, basically to unpack these numbers, pull out the key insights, find the surprising trends, and figure out what it all means for the economy and, importantly, for you listening in and wanting to stay ahead of the curve.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because understanding these trends, it's more than just the numbers, isn't it?
Yeah.
It really shows you where the innovation is happening, where the money's flowing, where things are speeding up globally. It paints a dynamic picture of how things will be made.
Okay, let's unpack this then. Starting with the big picture.
Right.
Globally, what are we looking at?
Well, the numbers are pretty significant.
The source says $38.2 billion back in 2021. That's the value.
38 billion. Yeah.
And it's forecast to hit nearly $50 billion by 2025.
Right.
And then really jump to over $83 billion by 2033.
Huge growth.
Which gives us a global compound annual growth rate, the CAGR, of about 6.7%.
And what's fascinating there is just how consistent that global expansion is. It shows this sustained commitment. It's not just a fad, It's becoming core, a fundamental shift, gaining momentum everywhere.
Okay, but here's where, for me at least, it gets really interesting. When you break it down by region,
Yes.
because that global average, it kind of hides some, well, frankly, unexpected stuff. We noticed this puzzle right away.
The disparity.
Exactly. Global average, 6.7% CAGR, solid. But the regions, very different stories. So take the Asia-Pacific region. It's got the highest regional CAGR, way out front at almost 8%. 7.969%.
Impressive.
Growing from about $7.1 billion in 2021, expected to hit over $17.4 billion by 2033. That's a huge leap.
A massive growth there.
Now let's immediately contrast that with North America.
Okay.
Bigger market to start with in 2021, right? Around $15.2 billion. And it's projected to grow, too, up to $32 billion by 2033, so it nearly doubles.
Still substantial numbers.
But its overall regional CAGR, the report calls it very modest. It's incredibly low, just 0.063%.
0.063. Wow.
So how does that work? How can a region with such a big market share have, well, basically flat overall growth when the global average is nearly 7%? What's dragging that average down?
That is the compelling anomaly, isn't it? It really makes you stop and think.
Right.
Because when you drill down inside North America, the picture gets even more complex, more puzzling. Well, look at the individual countries. The United States. It actually shows a pretty healthy CAGR.
Yeah.
Over 6%.
Okay, 6.1%. That's decent.
Yeah, growing from $12.4 billion to nearly $25.7 billion. And Canada is, well, the report says robust, 7.4% CAGR.
Even better.
And Mexico's strong, too, around 7% CAGR.
So U.S., Canada, Mexico, all showing good growth.
Individually.
Yeah. Yes.
Exactly. Good, solid growth. But that overall regional average, that tiny 0.063%, it strongly suggests there are some unique, large-scale factors influencing the whole North American dynamic.
Like what, potentially?
Well, maybe the sheer size of existing, older manufacturing setups.
Yeah.
Maybe that dilutes the growth percentage from the newer continuous stuff. Or perhaps there's significant consolidation, or even, scaling back in certain large sectors that pulls down the overall regional number, even while other parts grow.
So it's a mature market thing with some complex internal push and pull.
It seems that way. Very different drivers, perhaps, than what we see in, say, Asia-Pacific.
That's a really interesting point. It's like a hidden variable. Okay, let's shift gears. Cross the Atlantic to Europe, another big player.
Definitely a significant market.
Their overall growth looks pretty solid. From around $11 billion in 2021, expected to hit $23.2 billion by 2033.
Doubling. Right.
Yeah. And the CAGR is respectable, just over 6.3%. So closer to the global average than North America's overall number.
Right.
And within Europe, France is showing strong growth, around 7.1% CAGR. Italy's doing well, 6.75%.
Good numbers, sir.
Then you've got Germany, the UK, Russia, all steady,
Mm.
kind of in that 5.5 to 5.7% range.
Consistent performers.
What also jumped out was the rest of Europe category. It seems to have really high potential, expanding from about $2.3 billion up to $5.6 billion. That's a strong CAGR, nearly 8%. 7.9%.
It's fascinating, isn't it? It shows the diversity within Europe.
Mm.
While the big established economies are growing steadily, maybe more incrementally, it's clear that other parts, maybe smaller economies or specific subregions grouped into that rest of Europe, are really outpacing them.
So new hotspots emerging.
Could be. Or specific sectors accelerating adoption there, maybe new investments, different policies.
Yeah,
It suggests dynamism beyond just the biggest names.
that makes a lot of sense. Okay, let's circle back to Asia Pacific then for that deeper dive, because that growth, as we said, it's really impressive.
The clear leader in terms of growth rate.
Highest regional KGR, almost 8%. The source points to China, growing from just over $2 billion to nearly $5 billion by 2033. That's about a 7.5% CAGR.
Strong.
Japan's right there too, similar 7.5% CAGR.
Neck and neck almost.
But here's a really exciting detail we found. India actually outpaced both of them.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, an impressive 8.7% CAGR, growing from about $1 billion to nearly $2.7 billion by 2033.
Wow. Okay. India's really pushing ahead there.
Definitely stands out. And there are other strong performers too. South Korea, over 6.7%.
Yeah.
Singapore, even higher, 8.5% CAGR.
Singapore, too.
And Southeast Asia as a whole also booming at 8.3%.
So if you connect that to the bigger picture, global manufacturing trends,
Yeah.
Asia-Pacic's leadership is undeniable. And that rapid growth in places like India and Singapore, it's a clear signpost. It points to where future industrial output, future innovation in this specific tech is likely to concentrate.
So strong industrialization, tech adoption, maybe favorable investment climates.
All likely contributing factors, yes.
Yeah.
It's a region where, the future of this technology is clearly being built out and fast.
Okay. Shifting focus again, let's go South America.
Right.
Also showing what the report calls a solid growth path, CAGR of nearly 7.8%.
Very respectable growth.
The market there reaching over $6.4 billion by 2033, up from about $2.6 billion in 2021.
Significant expansion.
Key players. Brazil is big, growing from around $820 million to almost $2 billion. That's about a 7.4% CGR.
So,
Argentina shows really strong growth, 8.3%
a little
CGR.
higher there.
Yeah. And then you have Colombia, Peru, Chile, all solid, in 6.8 to 7.2% range.
Consistent across several countries.
And again, that rest of South America category also expanding strongly, over 8% CGR. So another region with real momentum.
Definitely showing significant uptake.
All right, finally, let's briefly touch on the Middle East and Africa.
Okay.
Now, their overall growth rates are a bit lower than the other regions we've discussed, but still significant, still part of the global story.
Good growing markets.
The Middle East market, about $1.5 billion in 2021, expected to reach $2.6 billion by 2033. That's a CGR around 5.2%.
Okay.
The UAE seems to be a relatively stronger performer there, over 6.3% CAGR. Others like Saudi Arabia, Turkey, Egypt, Qatar, more in the, say, 4.6 to 5.7% range.
A bit varied within the region.
And Africa recorded about $726 million in 2021, expected to grow to over $1.5 billion by 2033. Similar overall Coal-Beller, around 5.2%.
Doubling in size, roughly.
Yeah. Nigeria and South Africa contribute, both with CAGRs just under 5%.
Okay. Steady growth.
So putting it all together then, what's the main takeaway from all these regional differences?
Well, I think the regional contrasts really hammer home the point. Continuous manufacturing is a global trend, no doubt.
Right, the overall number shows that.
But it's adoption, it's growth.
Yeah.
It varies a lot depending on where you look.
Yeah.
It really reveals, different stages of industrial development, different investment priorities across the globe, maybe, as we talked about with North America, different regulatory hurdles or legacies.
It's not one size fits all.
Not at all. So for industries thinking about expansion, or really for anyone trying to figure out where the next manufacturing hubs might emerge, these numbers, they offer a pretty compelling map. They highlight where the really dynamic shifts are underway.
And there you have it. A growing global market for continuous manufacturing, yes, but definitely not uniform.
Far from it.
We saw some really surprising disparities, like their North American puzzle, slow overall growth, despite strong countries inside it.
Right.
And then you contrast that starkly with the booming Asia-Pacific and South American regions,
Yeah.
clearly leading the charge in terms of growth rate.
Which does raise an important question, I think, for you, the listener, to mull over.
Go on.
What are the underlying factors?
Mm.
The economic drivers, the regulations, maybe the specific tech breakthroughs.
Uh-huh.
What's really causing these very distinct regional patterns,
Mm.
especially that North American situation?
Yeah, what is the full story there?
And maybe more importantly, how might these trends reshape global supply chains, industrial innovation, and perhaps how might this understanding impact, your own field, your own interests in the next decade? How could you use this?
Excellent food for thought, something to definitely chew on. Well, thank you for joining us on this deep dive today. Keep exploring, keep questioning, and we'll catch you next time.
Welcome to the deep dive. Really excited about today's topic. We're diving into something that's quietly changing how things get made all around us. It's this fascinating transformation in what's called the continuous manufacturing market.
Yeah.
If you think about, how industrial production works on a massive scale, well, this deep dive, using some great insights from a cognitive market research report and other sources we looked at, it really pulls back the curtain on a kind of revolution happening right now.
Yeah, and our goal today really is to give you a quick way to get up to speed, to unpack the big shifts, the real roadblocks, and also the exciting innovations in this area. We want to help you cut through the jargon and quickly grasp what really matters so you have a solid handle on this changing industrial picture.
And believe me, we'll uncover some benefits you might not expect and maybe some surprising challenges too. So to really get this, we need to start with the basics. What's actually driving this big move? Why are industries shifting towards continuous manufacturing, moving away from, say, the old batch methods?
Well, the biggest single driver, I'd say, is the global push towards Industry 4.0. It's really gaining momentum. And it's more than just a buzzword, right? It's the digital framework that lets continuous manufacturing do its thing. It's all about connecting machines, data, processes, getting this incredible level of precision and real-time adjustment, and predictive control, too. It just fundamentally changes how things are made. You move from reacting to problems to, well, being truly proactive.
Okay, so Industry 4.0, that connectivity, the real-time data that's like the central nervous system for these continuous setups. But beyond the tech itself, what about regulatory bodies? Are they helping this along or maybe holding it back? How do they fit in?
That's definitely a key piece, especially for industries with tight regulations like pharma. And actually, agencies like the FDA in the US and the EMA in Europe, they're increasingly giving it the nod. They're endorsing continuous pharmaceutical production. That's a pretty strong signal. They see real advantages in better process efficiency, improved product quality, and crucially, that real-time monitoring capability. All things vital for safety and making sure drugs work. So yeah, their encouragement definitely helps clear the path.
Having that strong regulatory support must make a big difference. But what about the money side, the economics? Are there compelling financial reasons pushing companies this way?
Oh, absolutely. There's a huge need for cost savings and operational efficiency that's really pushing industries, particularly like pharmaceuticals and chemicals, to adopt continuous systems. And we're not talking small change here. Continuous manufacturing offers a strategic cost advantage, potentially a really significant one. It could totally reshape how competitive a company is. Think about reducing waste, sure, but maybe getting like 20 or 30% higher yields, or cutting energy use drastically, maybe by half. These things go straight to the bottom line. They can really boost profits and change who leads the market.
Wow, those are big numbers. And I guess some areas must be a particularly good match for this technology, almost like it was designed for them. Where does continuous manufacturing really make the biggest impact?
Yeah, one really interesting angle is how well it fits with the rise of personalized medicine. And also with small batch biologics, those complex drugs often made from living cells. Continuous manufacturing has this built-in flexibility. It lets you change products quickly, scale up or down as needed, basically on demand, and all while keeping the quality consistent, which is critical. So imagine you could tailor a specific medicine for just one patient and produce it efficiently without needing a massive traditional batch factory. It's a huge leap forward for speed and customization in medicine.
That idea, personalized drugs made on demand, that really is something else. But, big changes usually bring big challenges too, don't they?
Yeah.
So, okay, let's flip the coin. Despite all this promise, what are the main things holding back wider adoption? What are the big obstacles?
You're right, there are definitely significant hurdles. The biggest one, probably the high upfront cost. That initial capital investment needed to switch from batch to continuous. It's substantial. We're talking serious money for brand new equipment, often redesigning entire production lines, plus retraining the workforce. For companies with established setups, it's not just buying new kit, it's a massive overhaul. And that can feel pretty intimidating.
Right, the sticker shock. And going back to those regulated industries, what are the specific regulatory issues that make it tough? You mentioned validation earlier.
Yeah, the whole regulatory compliance and validation process is a major headache, especially where process rules are absolutely strict, like in pharma. Part of the problem is there aren't really globally agreed upon standards yet for continuous operations. And validating quality in real time, proving it works consistently, that adds layers of complexity. It can really slow down getting approvals. It's a bit like trying to navigate a new highway system while the traffic laws are still being written. Creates uncertainty, slows everything down.
So it's not just about the machines, it's the rules of the road too. And it sounds like maybe getting people on board is also a challenge, like asking someone who's always baked cakes one way to suddenly use a completely new automated method. Is there that kind of human resistance?
Oh, definitely. What often stands out is the resistance to change within traditional manufacturing companies. You have these batch processes that are deeply ingrained, existing infrastructure, decades of habit. It creates this powerful inertia, both culturally and operationally. You can bring in the new tech, but convincing people, overcoming that we've always done it this way attitude, that might be the hardest part. Stakeholders get nervous about the risks,
Mhm.
about disrupting workflows they know. So yeah, it's very much about the people, not just the pipes and pumps.
That makes total sense. The human element is always key. Okay, so we've covered the drivers and the hurdles, but innovation doesn't stand still. What are the exciting things happening now that are shaping the future here? What breakthroughs could make continuous manufacturing easier to adopt or even more powerful?
Well, a really big trend is integrating artificial intelligence, AI, and advanced process analytics. Manufacturers are using machine learning more and more, and also something called PEAT process analytical technology, which is basically a set of tools for measuring and controlling the manufacturing process in real time, right there on the line. So the system can learn, it can spot potential problems before they happen, optimize itself automatically. This leads to really unprecedented levels of quality control and efficiency. It's quite remarkable.
That real-time self-adjusting capability sounds incredibly powerful. Are specific sectors pushing this innovation forward more than others, driving the demand?
Yes, definitely. The growing demand for biopharmaceuticals is a huge driver. Things like monoclonal antibodies and also APIs, active pharmaceutical ingredients. Continuous processes offer platforms that are scalable and crucially reproducible. That's vital when you're developing complex, high-stakes drugs. It allows for a much faster, more reliable way to get new treatments from the lab bench to the patients who need them.
Okay, and this next bit sounds really interesting too. Are we seeing completely new types of systems? Is the idea of a fixed factory changing?
Absolutely. This is really fascinating. We're seeing the rise of modular and portable continuous systems. These allow for production that's decentralized, even on demand, which could be huge for, say, developing markets or areas with limited resources. Picture these compact, kind of plug-and-play units. You can deploy them relatively quickly, set up localized manufacturing where it's needed most with way more flexibility. It really plays into this global move towards more agile, more responsive ways of making things, bringing production closer to the consumer or the patient.
Right. So let's recap our deep dive today into continuous manufacturing. We looked at the big drivers industry 4.0, providing that digital power, regulators giving their okay, the strong economic case, and the needs of areas like personalized medicine.
Mm-hmm.
Then we tackled the hurdles, that hefty initial investment, the tricky regulatory landscape, and that very real human resistance to changing old habits.
Yep, the cultural shift.
And finally, the exciting future AI making processes smarter, the boom in biopharma pushing things forward, and this really cool trend of modular portable factories.
Yeah, understanding all those pieces, the why, the but, the what's next, it really gives you a much clearer view of this industrial shift happening around us. It's bigger than just factories, isn't it? It's about making supply chains smarter, faster, more adaptable to, well, everything the world throws at us.
Exactly. So here's something to think about as you go about your day. How might this continued evolution, especially these modular portable systems, how might that fundamentally change global supply chains? Think about access to essential goods, medicines, even what we think of as a factory. How might that all look different in, say, the next 10 years? It's a fascinating question with potentially huge implications. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive. We hope you found it insightful and definitely encourage you to keep exploring.